Now, we had heard the call, those of us who are old enough, from President Kennedy in 1960, ask what you can do for your country. And a summoning of talent. It is Lindsay and Fred who brought that to the city of New York.
Through his energies and leadership, I think that that this comes about more than anything else. Mr. Frederick O'Reilly Hayes.
Fred was a professional whose deepest loyalties and whose animating spirit was focused on change and reform and overhauling things for the better.
It means, I think, to us a great acceleration of our progress in tackling some of the toughest program and policy and budgetary issues in the city.
The center of Fred's being was to be a great public servant.
You know, when Fred came to the Budget Bureau, when we came to the Budget Bureau, the city was way behind the federal government in terms of its sophistication of its processes.
Because remember, he did not exactly take over a staff and a unit that was dying for reform and overhaul.
There were people who came into city government during the Depression era and who stayed and became the leaders of their agencies.
They were called Depression virtuosos.
Right.
He saw the way to modernize it, and he was devoted to data and to data and analysis, and why do we do the things we do, which were captured at that point under the buzzword program planning budgeting systems, PPBS.
The very essence of the RAND Corporation approach to problems, the very essence of PPBS, is to deal with both cost and effectiveness.
But Fred wanted to make sure that in each and every agency of the city, police, housing, welfare, social services, wherever it was, that those bureaucracies had within themselves an analytic and managerial capacity that was new.
The application of theory and other knowledge rather than the development of it, a distinctly non-academic viewpoint, I think that they are exactly what we need.
I remember one meeting alone that Fred had with the mayor, and I just stayed on to the end of it because I was sitting there, and the mayor knew me by that time. And Fred told the mayor, you know, it's not 30 new people we have to get to remake this city government. It's not 300, it's 3,000.
He established a talent search, formal talent search under Joan Dunlop to recruit the best young talent available for the city. And I have to say, Fred was committed to bringing women into the civil service. I was the second woman to be hired by the Budget Bureau in its history. And I walked into this office, and here was this man behind the desk with curly hair, and he kept scratching his head. Very different and unusual, and we had a nice talk, and to my great surprise, he hired me.
Because of Fred's commitment to public service and his obvious intelligence and thoughtfulness, he captured their imagination, and also they became his allies in creating change.
He was essentially the inspirer and the conductor of the first major overhaul of the New York City government since Fiorello LaGuardia 30 years earlier.
Well, Fred developed lung cancer some years after he left the city, not too long after he left the city. And sometime in the few days after we saw him, a group of us talked about setting up a prize to remember him. We didn't want him forgotten, and we also wanted to further his commitment to innovation. That's the beginning of the prize.
I'm inspired to work and contribute back to the Hayes Prize. Even though things have changed, times have changed. City servants are still trying to solve the same problems and challenges in the city as prior administrations. But we need to think of new solutions, and we have to be innovative in the way we approach them.
And I think the contribution of these young people who've been the winners, well, Fred would bust his buttons, and boy, did we want to prove him right. And I think we did.
And it's a very important step. I think it's the most important step that this administration has taken since it's been in office, other than the acquisition of Frederick O'Reilly Hayes.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
I can't tell you how often in my life I have said and continue to say thank you, Fred, for what you did, for the leadership you showed all of us, for what you taught me, and thank you for what you've done to lay the base off which the generation who now has to build a new system again will work.
Thank you, Fred. Bless your memory. Bless our memory of you. And here's to the next generation of winners. Cheers.
I didn't say you had a good sense of humor, did I? Yes, you did. I did? Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. Twice? Oh.